Tonight on News 6, UCA is hosting the annual Walk a Mile in Her Shoes event. A church is the latest victim of a catalytic converter thefts, and the governor talks about getting vaccines to minorities. All this and more, News 6 starts right now. Welcome to News 6. UCA Representative French Hill announced yesterday that he will introduce the Practical Act next week in Congress. The act is a proposed change to the Paycheck Protection Program that Hill said would help small businesses impacted by the pandemic. Since the pandemic began, $4.6 billion in PPP funding has been given to over 14,000 businesses in Arkansas. Hill's change would impact how the second round of PPP funding is calculated. Revenue would be based on a 90-day earning period instead of by a quarter-year calendar. University of Central Arkansas President Houston Davis announced the biggest fundraiser in UCA history today to a group of students and staff on campus.
I hope that you are as excited as I am about what's next.
At the Wingate groundbreaking ceremony in October of 2020, President Davis closed his address saying, "There's much more to come. Stay tuned for another milestone moment."
Well, today is that day, as together we place another marker on the road to ever greater success.
Students and staff had flocked to the Harding Centennial Plaza today at noon to hear the big announcement.
I'm thrilled today to announce the largest fundraising campaign in UCA history. $100 million, UCA Now, Impact Arkansas and beyond.
The fundraising campaign had been planned silently over the past 3 years, said Mary Bain Lackey, Vice President of Advancement.
It was interesting because you're in the quiet phase of a campaign, which means it's a secret, but you're not talking about it publicly.
And during that quiet phase, over half of the $100 million goal was raised.
And like Dr. Davis talked about, a lot of people said, 40 or 50 million, that's as good as UCA can do. And thankfully, there were people that didn't believe that. They wanted to stretch us, and we're a little over halfway there, and we're already at, $72 million of a $100 million campaign.
This $100 million campaign again raises the bar for our university and places UCA in special company relative to peers.
I spoke to student Trey White about how this effort helps UCA stand out among others.
I believe that it makes us more competitive when trying to bring students in, and I think it also shows more of what our values are as well because of where the money's going towards. I think that it definitely shows that we're dedicated to not just making UCA better, but also our community and our state as a whole.
To close the ceremony, attendees tossed purple coins into the fountain towards a bright future for UCA.
3, 2, 1, toss! I'm excited about the future of our university. Our time is now. Thanks for being a part of this incredible journey to impact Arkansas and beyond.
Reporting for News 6, I'm Colin Gallimore.
During Governor Asa Hutchinson's weekly COVID-19 briefing on Tuesday, Hutchinson stressed the importance of getting minorities and students in the state vaccinated. Of the vaccines administered, 77% have gone to white Arkansans and 10% have been to African Americans. In his announcement, Hutchinson said it's important to continue to educate minority communities about the vaccine. Hutchinson also wants to continue to educate high school students. He hopes the FDA will approve the use of the vaccine in children ages 12 and above for the fall. Many Arkansans have been laminating their vaccination record cards, but Arkansas experts are saying that it is not a good idea. Once the cards are laminated, there is no going back. The ink could smear or even disappear. If changes are needed to be made, there would be no way to remove the lamination. People have been getting them laminated to prevent any damage that could happen to them or to heighten the view and make the words easier to read. However, experts are saying that for now, people should wait to get them laminated until they know for sure there will be no changes. Or Arkansans could make a photocopy to laminate while leaving the original untouched. Later this month, a new phase of boat lane renovations will take place on Craig D. Campbell Lake Reservoir, also known as Lake Conway. The improved infrastructure will help anglers navigate the water safely. Contractors, along with the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission, will use a specifically modified barge to cut stumps under the water surface that have created navigational hazards for years. This work will expand on the boat lane renovations completed last year. The old boat lane was moved further away from the shoreline by widening a 4-mile stretch of trail along the west side of the lake. Boat drivers are advised to be cautious when driving in the boat lanes from April 26th to May 1st. Central Baptist Church of Conway was the most recent victim of a string of catalytic converter thefts. According to Senior Pastor Don Chandler, the part was stolen during the snowstorm and cost $9,400 to fix. Conway police recently posted pictures trying to help find owners of the stolen catalytic converters. Conway police have almost a dozen reports of converter thefts this year, and some of the reports reported multiple stolen converters. Conway police recommends leaving your lights on in front of your homes to deter criminals, and also recommends marking your catalytic converter with a unique mark to help identify it as a catalytic converter is a part of a vehicle's exhaust system, reducing the output of toxic gas. Converters use 3 different precious metals to do this. The metals are platinum, palladium, and rhodium. After the break, we will take a look at the weather for next week. Stick around.
If I could be you, and you could be me for just 1 hour, walk a mile in my shoes, walk a mile in my shoes.
You might think you're seeing double, but I promise you you're not. I was at the anchor position, but I am actually doing weather today as well. So what started off as a beautiful Friday morning is swiftly turning into something kind of catastrophic, with thunderstorms likely to be tonight with some calm winds maybe picking up, and the sunset setting at 6:39. So if you're going to go out tonight, make sure you have an umbrella, a rain jacket, maybe even a windbreaker to make sure that you don't get wet and don't get hurt. Let's take a look at tomorrow's weather. Tomorrow is going to be an absolutely beautiful Saturday with a 66-degree high and winds in the 15 miles per hour, which is preferable. I love my weather to be high 60s, low 70s with a slight wind. Great for walking your dog, great for just going to play any sports, or like me, sitting in a hammock and reading a book. The sunrise is going to be 6:45 in the morning, so for any of those early birds wanting to see the sunset over Lake Conway, feel free to do so. It's going to be a beautiful day for it. So let's take a look at the rest of the week's weather. So Saturday through Tuesday is going to be some great weather with some partial clouds, ranging from the high 60s to the high 70s in the highs, and the low is going to be mid 40s to the low 50s. But then we're going to get a break Wednesday with a slight chance of rain and some wind coming in. It's going to be a great day to stay inside, catch up on any series on your favorite streaming services. Just make sure you take a mental health day right there, smack dab in the middle of the week. And then the wonderful weather is going to kick back in Thursday and Friday with some high 60s and high 40s. So overall, it's going to be a great week for weather. Great to go outside, except for that Wednesday where you want to stay in and make sure that you have all your homework caught up for any UCA students. So that's all for the weather, and we'll be right back to me at the anchor position.
I know what you're thinking. I need a job.
Well, I've been there.
I've been there.
But you gotta keep going.
You just need the right skills. Find an apprenticeship.
I found a course online.
You can do this.
You will find something.
You will find something new.
The Interfraternity Council chapters will show support of their sisters Greeks by walking a mile in women's shoes. The men will wear shoes such as high heels and pumps, and the event will take place on Thursday, April 15th from 10 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon. The event will be held at the Harding Centennial Plaza at 201 Donaghy Avenue. The Student Government Association will also help with the event by working at tables, by passing out shoes, accepting shoes, as well as sanitizing them. There will be a small presentation ceremony and ceremonial walk during X period. With graduation right around the corner, many seniors are happy to be done with school, but COVID will make graduation season bittersweet again this year because of its restrictions. Caleb Rofe spoke with a graduating senior to see how he feels about having his graduation along with COVID guidelines.
the moment every student waits for, graduation. But because of COVID, graduation has come with a couple of restrictions. I recently talked to Kobe Tony, a senior who will graduate after the semester, to get his thoughts on having to deal with COVID and graduation a year later.
I knew COVID would have an impact on graduation, seeing as it looked like it would be a long term before there was a cure for COVID-19.
Since Tony will be attending his graduation, I asked him how he felt about only being able to invite 4 family members.
I think that having 4 tickets per family for graduation is not a good thing, because what if you have more than 4 people in your family and you've been waiting all this time for this day?
Tony plans to continue his education along with other things after graduation.
After graduation, I plan to attend graduate school while continuing the job hunt for the career I want to pursue in the future.
Graduation ceremonies will be held on May 7th and 8th, and you can watch via live stream at www.uca.edu/commencement livestream. Reporting for News 6, I'm Caleb Rowe.
When the world was turned upside down by COVID in the spring of 2020, many industries started to struggle. This included the film industry, with theaters shutting down at the beginning of the pandemic. Many wondered what the future of film would look like.
Movie theaters have been struggling since the start of the pandemic. I talked to Dr. Keith Corson, assistant professor of film at UCA, and Edmund Burke, a film student at UCA, to understand the impact of COVID on the film industry.
It's been a big deal. I think the biggest thing actually has happened on the back end in terms of exhibition. The closing of movie theaters has dramatically altered the types of movies that are able to be released.
It's probably been a challenging year for the industry. With theaters not being fully open, and I'm sure that's been an impact. And movie sets have been shut down, and shows were shut down for a while, so I'm sure it impacted tons of people.
The theater-going experience has been absent from both of their lives since the start of the pandemic, but they are both hopeful to return to a theater in the near future.
I went to a movie theater was New Year's Eve, so 2020 into 2019 into 2021. And I haven't been back since then. I'll probably go whenever maybe something like Dune or Top Gun, something that needs to be large and big, and you need to kind of engage with the big sound, the big screen.
I honestly can't even remember the last movie I saw in a theater. That's how long it's been. I really kind of want to go see the new movie Unholy. And that just came out. So maybe the next couple of weeks, hopefully.
This pandemic is unlike anything we've ever seen in our lifetime, but is there anything comparable to this in history?
I think even more than the Great Influenza was World War II. You took a global, in a transnational media flow, because Hollywood films went to Europe, European films came here, and that totally stopped in 1940. And there's that's probably even going to have a greater impact than COVID had.
Streaming has become prioritized during the pandemic and has affected the film industry.
We used to have something called day and date releasing, is what we'd call it. If something comes to a streaming platform or television the same day it releases in theaters, but that was just for a kind of handful of indies, right? They'd release in New York, they'd release in LA, but then if you live in Arkansas, or you live in, wherever, you can still see that movie and you pay that premium fee. But a lot of things are going straight to streaming platforms.
According to these two, the theatrical experience is more special than watching something at home.
Thing about that hour-and-a-half narrative that works. And there's something about going to a theater and engaging not only with the big screen and the big sound, but engaging with a room full of strangers that just works. And I don't think that's going to go away.
I think seeing a blockbuster major film in a theater is a lot different than watching it at home. I would much rather watch Godzilla versus King Kong on a bigger screen than on a smaller screen at home.
Dr. Corson offered his thoughts on the future of the film industry post-COVID.
I think it's going to take a couple years for that kind of hesitancy to go away. And
you can keep up with us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. From all of us here at News 6, thank you for watching and have a safe weekend.